Sunday, we see we've scraped ourselves out of bed and we're here. And today is a very special day here on Wake and Bake because we're going to get into the Bay Area specifically, and we're going to talk about really somebody who really made a giant impact on music in general, and that is Bill Graham. And Bill Graham presents. And I would hit record right about now. It's Aftermath FM. Wakey, wakey. is Aftermath FM. It's a Bay Area band called Journey. Before that high-pitched singer dude.
Many days have fade away, and a time has passed. Those were memories that have been by so fast. I can't see you, I can't hear you, but I feel you. Well, I will find you. Well, I will find you. Well, I will find you.
It's Aftermath FM. That's Neil Schoen on guitar. Ainsley Dunbar, Greg Raleigh. This was a band. This is now, a lot of these guys were in the original Santana. So we're gonna get into some Santana in a minute. My name's Jimmy. It's a Bay Area special today. We're gonna talk about Bill Graham in a bit here. Rock and Rio's here. I'm here. You're here. Grab a cup of coffee, hang back, kick back, and check it out.
Don't be so wise. I was born to fly.
It's Aftermath FM.
Not without a place in the wind. Walked off a cliff, then I closed my eyes. Ooh, I'm not a spaceman, no, no. Ooh, I'm not a spaceman. Don't need no feathers, I don't need no twine. I'm all together in my body and my mind. Not supernatural, just a human combine. Ooh, I'm not a spaceman, no, no. No, no, I'm not a spaceman. No, no, no.
the shore lay Montezuma with his coca leaves and pearls. Through the walls he often wandered with the secrets of the world. And his subjects gathered around him like the leaves around a tree, with their claws of many colors for the angry gods to see. And the women all were beautiful, and the men stood straight and strong. And look around so that others could go.
Well, that's another magic moment caught on tape with a bunch of Bay Area. That was a special moment there. Grace Potter and Joe Satriani and a bunch of people on stage. And man, I'll just say, somebody who had a really deep connection with Bill Graham, especially here in the Bay Area, because a lot of these guys were all the same age. When they were getting going, the bands were getting going. Bill Graham, was there. He was there for a lot of people, and one of the people that was really tight with Bill Graham was Carlos Santana. And so when Bill Graham died, and we'll talk about that, we're coming up here in a few. When Bill Graham passed away, Carlos Santana was hit pretty hard by it, and he was doing a tour called Sacred Fire at the time. And right after he died, he did a show at the Shoreline Amphitheater, which I caught. And they had giant. It was Carlos Santana was there. Steve Miller was there. And then a bunch of other people popped in Shoreline Amphitheaters in the Bay Area. So, Neil Young lives nearby and all this. So, they have the Bridge School there. It's a special place for Santana. I mean, Bill Graham basically was the one responsible for trying to get that, putting that Shoreline together. And so Carlos played this set for Sacred Fire. And when he came out, he talked a lot about Bill Graham, and he talked about the angels being all around us. And this is that performance from 1993 that he did in Mexico City. I couldn't find the Shoreline show, but this is exactly the same exact thing that happened at the Shoreline show. My name's Jimmy. It's Aftermath FM. It is Wake and Bake with Rock and Rio, and here we go.
Muy buenas. Todos estamos encantados y inspirados de estar en su presencia. Antes de comenzar con la vibración de la música, queremos recordarles que en este momento, si toman el tiempo de ver con el corazón, no con la mente, vamos a ver que estamos rodeados, completamente rodeados de ángeles. Los vemos, los sentimos bailando, siempre bailando en el cuerpo.
This Aftermath FM is Carlos Santana in Mexico City in 1993.
Santana pa' mí, pero qué rico Santa. Ay, Marcela, mi vida, estoy esperando conocerte. Pero qué rico Santana.
This is the Allman Brothers live at the Fillmore East, 1971. Bill Graham presents.
Second floor, bragging about this time I won't be trapped no more. So raise your window, baby. I can ease out soft and slow. And let your neighbors know they won't be talking that stuff that they don't know. Take my place. Ain't nowhere in the world I'm going out that front door. For there's a man down there, might be old man, I don't know. For there's a man down there, might be old man, I don't know. For there's a man happen to be your man. Oh, it just might be your man. Lord, it just might be your man. Oh, baby, I just don't know. Oh, you tell me.
this road. You know that gal I love, I
I stole her from a friend who got lucky, stole her back again because she know they had a Mercury. Cruise up and down this road, up and down this road. Well, she know they had a Mercury and she cruise up and down this road. Hey now, mama, where'd you stay last night? Your hair's all down, your clothes treat me like I was your ocean. You swim in my blood when it's warm. My cycle's a circular motion. Protect you and keep you from harm. You live in a world of illusion, where everything's peaches and cream. We all face a scarlet conclusion, but we spend our time in a dream. Jungle love is driving me mad. It's making
Tommy Two-Tone, Cheap Date.
Well, hey, June, it's me. I just had to call you up. Baby, how about a date? Yeah. I'll take you to the roller rink. I'll even buy your skate. You know now, won't cost you a cent. 'Cause I'm a cheap date. Won't cost you a cent. 'Cause I'm a cheap date. Well, hey, June, it's me again. I ain't seen you around. Baby, now where you been? Where you been? Yeah. I got the key to my old man's ranchero. Love to take you for a spin. You know now, won't cost you a cent. 'Cause I'm a cheap date. Yeah. Won't cost you a cent. I'm a cheap date. What do you say, June? But hey, June, he's gone now. 6 months in the grave. Let that memory go. Let it go. We could turn in a false alarm.
This Aftermath FM. Rock and Rio. Are you ready to get into Bill Graham presents? Rock and Rio. Are you there?
I am here.
Excellent. Are you ready to get into Mr. Bill Graham here at the top of the hour?
Yeah, we could chat
Excellent.
him up a little bit.
Man, I have lots of stories about the Bay Area. I grew up here. I was here in the middle of one of the most intense music scenes in the history of mankind. I know people talk about Seattle, they talk about all this, but man, I gotta say, I don't think there's any place on the planet that can match the Bay Area for some of the greatest musicians of all time, some of the biggest bands of ever, all came here, from here. I mean, the list is literally, we're going to get into the list on the other side of this break here coming up. It's not really a break, but top of the hour. Because it's Sunday, and it's Wake and Bake, and it's Aftermath at them. We're here every Sunday. And so today, every single song so far has been a Bay Area artist. That was Tommy Two-Tone, and then we got some personal Bay Area information that we're gonna get into, because like I say, I was here and I was working, doing shows. I worked at a club for 10 years, and there's pretty much the guy that I worked for actually looked a lot like Bill Graham, and he was kind of Bill Graham Jr. in a way. I mean, the thing that separated Bill Graham from the clubs that I worked at was that he had, you know, the Winterland space, you know, and that was a 5,000 seater, or whatever, 5,500
Mhm.
seater. And so he was doing like 5,000. He was doing shows like 5,000 people. And so our clubs held about 1,500 in the one that I worked at, and then in San Francisco, I think it had like, I don't know, it was like 1,000 people maybe. And then Berkeley, they had a club in Berkeley. So, and that was on there. So it was Bob Corona, his son Bobby, around the Stone in San Francisco, which was right across the street from the Mabuhay Gardens, which was a super heavy punk scene. I mean, just about every single punk band that anyone's ever even heard of played there. And so, I mean, we should do a show just about the Mabuhay Gardens. Maybe we will. Maybe we'll do that next week. Because that was a super punk scene up on Broadway in San Francisco in those days. 70s, 80s, and a little bit into the 90s. But really, the 80s, it was, after the 80s, it was a different
Were there
scene.
a lot of big green mohawks at that time?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, there was, man. They weren't green though. I mean, back in the day, that whole punk scene or whatever, it was at that point it was organic. So like when you saw somebody, like you saw somebody with a spike head or whatever, you never saw that. You never saw that before. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
that was a new thing, right? It was
That's what I
a whole
mean.
different thing.
That's what I'm saying. It was a whole. That people don't realize, man. The punk scene, the early '70s punk scene is really the big. They were truthers back then, man. They wanted to be free, man. You know what I mean? They wanted, you know what I'm saying? They were totally against the system. They were totally anti-system.
Oh yeah,
But then
complete anarchy is what they were all about. Right?
yeah. And then it got like turned into like new wave or something.
Yeah, the mellow version for the masses.
Got turned into Come On Eileen or whatever on MTV. You know. So so I grew up here in the Bay Area, and so I had a young mom, and so we lived in Palo Alto. And so at the time I lived in Palo Alto, it was a super, it was a cool place to live. It was right across the street from Stanford University. It was still, all Victorians and, big yards and stuff. And there was a bunch of hippies that lived there and all these different houses, these giant houses that were there. Those houses are still there now, but they're worth like, 10 to, $50 million for some of those properties over there. And I'm not joking. But when I was growing up there, it was a bunch of hippies living in Palo Alto. And so, like I said, my mom, I had a young mom, she used to go, there was a place down at the end of the street on Channing, in Palo Alto, there's a place called Homer's. It was a bar. It was like a big Quonset hut.
Mhm.
And that's where they had, people were doing shows. Okay, and so Bill Graham used to book shows there at that Quonset hut. Okay, and one of the shows that he used to do there was, I mean, you could go. My mom, I have tickets from my mom has some stubs where the Grateful Dead tickets where it's like $2.35 or something like that to get in or whatever. But anyway, so I remember back in the day. So when I was a little kid, I was just a hippie kid. So we just cruised around the neighborhood or whatever, all over Palo Alto. You just go here, go there, man. There's all these hippies. You just go to a house. You don't even, you have no business over there, but you just could go in there. You know what I mean? Kids could just cruise around. There was like there was like parks with geodesic domes and stuff. It was just like, it was like a hippie paradise, man, in Palo Alto. So I remember back in the day when my mom, back in this time, I remember Bill Graham being there, and I remember him hiding out. He was hiding from the cops for some reason down the street at this other house that we used to go to. And I don't remember who the dude was that owned the house or whose house it was, but I just remember being there, and I remember him. I remember him like saying to me, Jimmy, don't. If anybody asks you, don't make sure you don't say you didn't see Bill or whatever. I don't even know who Bill was or whatever. But the only reason I even remember it is because he like went out of his way to say something to me. And at the time, I didn't know who Bill Graham was, man. I was just some dude, some older dude in this house. But then later on, as time went by, obviously I got into the Bay Area music scene. And of course, Bill Graham is a giant figure across the planet, and well loved by musicians because he treated bands and musicians really well, and they wanted to come play for him. Man, that they'd come and play if he asked them. He said, "Hey, give me a couple encores, or whatever." They'd do it for him, man. Because he kind of,
Well, he was always one of those guys who made sure the sound was right. He had the best sound
Exactly.
equipment, he had the best engineers, he had the best stage lighting,
Exactly.
and it was, he was tough with the bands, but they they respected him. So when he asked for something, he got it. Because he gave them everything they wanted.
Right.
It was a very give and take kind of thing with him, and that's what made him a good promoter. People liked working for him because, when they asked for this on their backline, they got it. And their show sounded good, which helped the band. So, it's a two-way street.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's really the originator of the stadium type concert, the arena style, thing. I mean, he was really the groundbreaker. I mean, I know there was Woodstock or whatever. He was there. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think he was there.
I'm pretty sure
I'm pretty sure he was.
I've seen footage of his mug there. He was actually in Apocalypse Now too. When the helicopter scene, when the Playboy Bunnies jump out of the helicopter and they start playing Susie Q, he comes out and he thanks everybody for their service or whatever. And he's like, "Here's the bunnies," and they jump out and they start playing Susie Q. It's funny too, because in Apocalypse Now they didn't even use the real Susie Q. They had to use a fake one because back then, if you used something, man, it was a big hassle. You remember that? Remember when they used to do that?
Oh yeah, they had the impersonator kind of thing going.
Yeah, like TV shows, they'd play a popular song, but it would always have to be like a cover band. It would never be the actual song. But it sounded a lot like it. They just had some studio band in there. Okay, boys, hit it. They have to play some song. Studio musicians, though, they got to throw down. But anyways, listen, the Bay Area was an unprecedented, situation. I mean, seriously, in the 60s, 70s, and even into the 80s and 90s, man. So you know what I mean? That's a long run, dude. Think about all the bands, man. I mean...
Oh, hundreds of them.
I looked at
just look at the list of the people who played at the Fillmore East and West, right? I mean, the club was open for 3 years, and there was 120 concerts there, so 120 different bands or 100 different bands. Some of them played a few times, but
yeah, but I mean, sure, there's 3 bands a night.
Yeah, exactly. and they were all top notch too.
I know, and what was funny is those other opening bands, those earlier acts that were on the bill, those dudes ended up becoming giants, So in San Francisco, he had a thing called the Old Waldorf, and that was like this. It wasn't even really a. It sounds all San Francisco, the Old Waldorf, but it was just this like. It was like an office almost. It was like an office bar. It was like an office space kind of. It low ceilings and stuff. It was a trippy place, man. But a lot of there was a lot of shows there, a lot of really good ones. If you can find any good audio shows from the old Waldorf days, there's like everybody played there. And the thing is, the club that I worked at too is a lot of the acts that Bill Graham booked would play our same clubs. So some of the shows, I'm not saying stadium style, but I'm saying B players or people that were around for a long time. People that everybody know, but not anybody not like a Metallica or a Grateful Dead or any of these giant acts, but other acts that were really good on the B level. You know what I mean? Or guys on their way up to that level of stadium play. Just one album away from the next. Being like, for example, like Huey Lewis in the News. It's like Huey Lewis was around for a long time before it was in the news. Huey Lewis in the News, but then, I don't know if it was actually the movie that got him that launched Huey Lewis in the news. I don't know what it was that all of a sudden happened, but they turned into a huge giant band, man. I mean, they were good musicians too, you know.
Oh, the right person heard him at the right time, right? That's all how it works.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if Back to the Future was the reason that because
I'm
that's
sure that helped too. I mean, once you get into the movies, right?
yeah. So I mean, I don't know, and plus he was like, he was all he had the hair and all this, man. He was like he was this character, you know. He wants a new drug, you know. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we'll play some Huey Lewis, man. So what do you got on your side of the table over there, man? As far as Bill Graham, you want to throw something on the table here? And we'll get going because I mean I played a bunch of music already, but there's some bands that I didn't touch on that I really want to talk about and touch on a little bit, and and talk more about Bill Graham and get into some of these clips because I got some good. I have a clip here from the '70s from Bill Graham. People asking him, hey man, how'd you do what you do, or how do you do what you do? So he's gonna explain it, man. It's really interesting and cool, man. So I hope you guys will stick around. I hope it's interesting for you. Epic. So what do you think, Rio? Do you got anything over there you want to throw a clip into the mix, or do you want me to throw this early '70s clip in first, just to sort of get the ball
Yeah,
rolling?
why don't you start off with that? I do have a couple clips, some live music from the Fillmore East.
Oh, cool, nice.
Not necessarily San Francisco bands, but just some really good, some good experiences to what you would catch if you went to the Fillmore.
Sweet. Yeah, man. I mean, the thing is that there's so many different genres of music that came out of here, different periods. Like this period, like the period of the '80s, there was a record label here called Berserkly, and that was the label that Greg Kinn was on. But there was like this whole like hard pop culture that went on here too. There was like a lot of pop bands that were really good bands, man. Really great harmonies, really great songs. And a lot of those people went on to be, one-hit wonders or whatever, or, two-hit people or whatever, but or didn't really get any real commercial play, but they just were like great bands. Like Romeo. Remember, You Might Like Me Better If We Slept Together, the Romeo Void band. That's another band. It's just like there's so many of them. I sat here last night trying to think of some of these songs, and it's just the list goes on. And I could have sat here all day just playing one-hit wonders, just be like the one-hit wonder out of the Bay Area. For some reason, man, I don't know what it is, but people, when you get in this Bay Area vortex or something, there's some creative force here or something. I don't know what it is. I can't explain it, man. I can tell you this, though. I have seen shows in the Bay Area that happened, and they only happened once that night, and they'll never happen again. Nobody was there. They didn't have cameras back then. Nobody had cell phones. If you were there that night, that was it. You saw it.
Well, there's a lot of those venues back in, especially like in the '60s and '70s. That was the deal, man. You showed up. The set list was never the same from night to night. Even if you had the same band there all week, they would play something different every night.
Yeah.
They might stretch out for 12 minutes on a guitar solo on one song. That they never do that again.
And it just
the
happened.
next night it would be a different song where they stretched it out, and you had that live vibe going.
Mm-hmm.
There was that's what made it special, though. That's because it was different every night. A lot of bands now, if you see them 3 nights in a row, it's exactly the same all 3 nights in a row. And there's it's cool to see them once, but by the third night you've seen the same thing 3 times. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably one of the things that made the Grateful Dead what they were too. Is a lot of people really liked it. It was just different every time you saw them.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is too, man, is the Grateful Dead and Bill Graham and all they were doing with that sound system and all the engineering that was going in. I mean, there was people, we've talked about this on our main show about, I don't want to get into the nefarious aspect of it, but there was some serious people involved with the engineering of the the Grateful Dead's quote
Wa-
wall of sound.
Wall.
Yeah.
Yep, the Wall of Sound. Not to be confused with Phil Spector's Wall of Sound.
No, not at all. But I mean, so and like and there was that's there's certain things that separate the men from the boys as far as doing shows and promoting and stuff. So man, I mean, there's so many ways that you can get screwed. Okay, listen, I'm not saying this. What I'm saying is I was involved with a club and that promoted shows just like Bill Graham. So I've done huge shows, promoted them, been there. I mean, I used to have to. They used to send me out. I was like, Jimmy, we need tube socks. Go somewhere and find tube socks. I'd be like, what do you mean tube socks? He's like, yeah, it's on the rider. The band, there was a band called the Tubes in the Bay Area. We'll talk about them. And every time the Tubes would play, he would do this song called Sports. And during during the song Sports, he would throw tube socks out into the audience. So they would send me that. Literally, I had to go get tube socks, right before a show. We're involved in a million other things, running cables and all this, and you know what I mean. So, but there's so many ways, man, things can go wrong, and to do it over and over and over again successfully, without any problems, man. Nobody, I mean, it's just unbelievable, man. What a string of successes it is. And the thing is it's like it makes life worth living when you're doing this kind of stuff, man, because you have this thing that's going to happen on a day coming up, and everybody knows about it. You know about it, your team knows about it, and everybody's got their job, man, to do. You know what I mean? And it somehow it all, I mean, just saying, think about what it actually takes to put a show together. It's an empty room, all right? And then people show up with coffee cups in their hand and they start looking around. And then the next thing you know, a truck shows up and dudes start unloading rigging out and putting lighting up and stuff, And then another truck shows up and boom, next thing you know, man, a few hours later, kick drum, people are hitting the kick drum, everybody's scurrying around like rats, doing their shit. And it goes on for hours and hours and hours, man, until these dudes finally hit the stage, man. And then they do what they got to do, Everybody else is doing what they're doing to get it ready for the moment this dude walks on stage. His roadies got the guitars are tuned, the monitor people are there, all the sound checking's been done. I mean, that's what it takes just to get to the moment where whoever it was that you went there to see walks out on that stage, man. The lights go down.
It takes 8 or 10 hours to set up for a 3-hour show, and another 5 or 6 hours to pack it all up so you can go home and move on. So, the roadies are working 20-hour days.
Yeah, man, and to have that go off without anybody getting killed, without anybody getting beat up, or you got security people in there. I mean, everything has to go off just right, man. And not only he did it every single night, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, here
no bad stories come out of the original Fillmore or East and West.
Yeah, man. All right, so listen. Let's raise Bill Graham from the grave for a discussion from back in 1977, and they asked him what makes you successful. All right, so here it is. Aftermath FM. My name's Jimmy. That's Rockin' Rio. This is Bill Graham. We're raising him up, and then as soon as it'll stop giving me the U-Boros. Here for some reason now he doesn't want to come up. I got to raise him a little harder. So listen, we're gonna get into some of the bands. I want to talk about the Tubes, today, and play some of their music because they were really a great band. There's obviously the Dead Kennedys. There's another one that comes to mind. You know what I'm saying? Rock and Rio.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, just there were so many bands that played there.
I know. For some, here we go.
Being born in '65, if in the early days somebody would come up to me and say, "I'd like to come into the show," and they show me a card, and I look at the card and it would say Sam Schwartz, rock critic. And I said, "How can you be a rock critic? I mean, the baby's 3 months old or a year old. How can you be a rock sound engineer specialist? How can you be a lighting specialist mainly for rock?" We're too young, all of us. And I've always felt that so much of what I do now and so much what I know now started right then, although I applied some experiences that I had in life before that. But if somebody would say, "Well, Bill, how much experience had you had in crowd control prior to that? How many years had you been doing it?" That part of me was born then. And how did you know how much to charge? Or how did you know how to get an encore out of somebody? How did you know how to tell an act when they asked you what you thought of them? Well, where did that come from? Well, that was an opinion based on what? Did you see that many other acts? No. So what 65 was, it was the beginning across the board. I mean, the only thing that was going on before then, I was alive and I learned how to read and write and had some education, street and academic. But that world, that whole society, I was even more distant from that focus point than Marty Ballin or Phil Lesh or the musicians or the sound people or
Well, how come you
press
were the
guy.
one to make it happen then? What is it? You say that people have asked you this in the past. You may have thought about yourself in the past, but how come you? Why were you the one that, as you say, picked up the ball and ran with it? What was it that you knew?
I wasn't the only one that tried to run with it.
No, but I agree. You're not the only one that tried, but you're the one. You're the major success. How come it worked for you?
I would have to answer you in such a way so as not to put anybody else down because
Right.
that's-
I'm not trying to put somebody down.
that's
I'm
not
asking,
mine.
what is it about you, Bill Graham, that allowed you to make it work this well?
There were 2 or 3 factors. I'll mention.
Tis the season to make your own traditions. Visit your Cadillac show.
Hey man, it
today.
is the season to make your own traditions on Aftermath FM. $79 a year is what it is.
2 or 3. One, I think that generally speaking, I was the one producer in that early era who was the most realistic about what it might take, that I couldn't leave that much up to the fates, that I couldn't and wouldn't accept a general laissez-faire attitude towards responsibilities, that if it's at 8 o'clock, that's when I open the doors and you should be there, and if it's at 4 o'clock sound check, you should be there, and if I need your picture to get to the paper, if you don't come to me, I'll get to you and get that picture. And some of the other producing factions, even though their philosophy and their outlook was very nice, it was very gentle, it was very non-competitive, was a nice way to look at business. But the fact that many of these other people did not look at it as a business, and which is a nice way to look at business. I don't want this to be a business. But if you have a candy store here and he's got a candy store there, are you going to tell me you don't care where they go? Then you can't pay your bills. We don't live in utopia. And I think the major problem in the early days was that other people who wanted to put on shows did not face reality. I'm not saying they should or shouldn't. If they didn't care if they'd succeed, that was their decision. I didn't want to fail. I didn't want to get dirty. I didn't want to get ugly. But when you charge someone for something, and someone else charges someone for something in the same field, you are competitors in a business venture. I've never thought to this day, I mean, there's proof. I am not only not a good businessman, I'm not a businessman. There were other people who take care of business. In the early days, I just happened to be lucky that I made more than I spent. So there was some realism attached to what I was trying to do.
Let me ask you a question that speaks to some criticism of you.
Sure.
There's been criticism that the techniques you developed, as you say, it was new then and you scrambled, you ad-libbed how things were to work, and you made, in essence, the beginnings of modern rock and roll, 65 on, into a business rather than a utopian way of looking at life and bringing music to people. There are those who say that what you did changed rock and roll in the process, that it began the process of killing or ending the flower power days, whatever that means. What do you think about that, Bill?
Oh boy.
So I'm getting some issues here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change gears to, this is a show, Shoreline Amphitheater. I'm going to play a few minutes of this until the bottom of the hour. So it's we got about 6 minutes. I'm going to play some 6 minutes of this here. This is The Dead. Pretty much, I mean, this is really, they were, at this point, they were just rolling, man. They did a lot of really great shows, and this is one of them. This was a great show. Mom's Jimmy. That's a good-looking dude over there. Is Rockin' Rio. We're talking about the king of bringing shows to people, Bill Graham. And Bob Weir's got a bad chord in this show. He's pissed right now, strolling around. He's wearing these 80s super short shorts, man. I don't know why he was doing that, but Bob Weir went through this phase where he was wearing these 80s style short shorts. So they're all strolling around on stage. Shoreline was a good place at one point. It's kind of a strange place too, because they built it on an old landfill. When we first started doing shows there, we used to go there. You could poke the ground with your finger and take your Bic lighter, and you could strike it, and the grass would sit there and burn, like from the methane. All right, here they come. It's the Grateful Dead. It's Mickey Hart. Everybody on this show, really. This is a really good show. You can find it on YouTube. It's called Grateful Dead 62189 Shoreline Amphitheater. Mom's Jimmy. There's Rockin' Rio. There's Grateful Dead. Bob Weir's kicking his equipment. Somebody's gonna get their butt kicked after the show.
We're really having fun.
Hey Rio, you didn't want to be the guy that put that cord on stage, man.
No, definitely not. Probably getting all sorts of dirty looks. I'd probably get fired.
Oh man, I would not want to be that guy, man. All right, we're gonna get going here in a second. All right, it's Aftermath FM. It's the Grateful Dead. Hopefully the cord has been replaced. I'm seeing flags in the audience, Rio. People are getting stoned, they're partying. There's not a mask in sight. Nothing but seems like weed smoke raising up. Everyone's running down to the front, getting ready to dance. It's like a never ending. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. Let's just do this. Ready? I'm just gonna bump this. Ready? Here it comes. Oh! Here comes an ad now.
Of course, because you skipped.
You know, it was funny as I was playing a Rory Gallagher clip, and it's an 8-minute song, and it's like a minute and 30 seconds into that 8-minute song, an ad comes on in the middle of a beautiful guitar opening of the song. It's unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. All right, here we go. It's an uphill struggle to try to. At this point, I'm about to go play a different cut. Here we go.
Get out. Yes, I get the gist of it. It's alright. Now that you feel that way, only thing that is to say, every silver light is got take, touch and pray. I will get by. I will get by. I will get by. I will survive. It's a lesson to me. The angels and the ABC, we all must face.
Man, people either love the dead or they hate the dead. There is no middle of the road, man. On the dead. But I'll tell you what. Here's the Jerry Garcia band.
When they come to take you down, when they bring that wave and run,
I was at this show. I was working security.
come to call on you.
I might add, you didn't have to do much at a dead show. You just had to learn how to walk through the crowd, man, when people are spinning and stuff. No problem, though. Good people.
Just one thing for me. Please forget you knew my name, my darling, Sugaree. Shake it, Sugaree. Just don't tell 'em you know me. Shake it, Sugaree. Just don't tell 'em you know me.
See, man, that was one of those nights, see? I was there that night. I was there, man. I was there when that was happening. And in the moment, I probably didn't even notice it. Because everything else was going on real, right? It's like, I'm not even, when you're working it, man, you're not, I mean, you're listening, but you just like, you're listening with like one ear or whatever. You know what I mean? You're not really paying attention unless something really intense goes on. And then you stop what you're doing and look, or you whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you just kind of sit there and soak up the atmosphere.
Yeah, well, man, there was plenty of atmosphere. And, you know, Bill Graham was an expert at, you know, putting this together and putting people together. That's the thing, too. The thing about it is when you're a promoter and you're doing this type of thing, it's not just putting the band that's going to bring people in there. It's not just the main band. It's also the other bands you put around that band on the bill. It's a bill, you know? 'Cause there's 3 people on it.
At
You know-
least
Yeah, but I'm just
some of them shows are 5 or 6 bands in a night.
Yeah, but I'm saying there's the main 3 though. You know, some of these other guys, nobody's really heard of them too much. They're basically lucky to even be on the show to get their name on there. And you never heard of them, but they're all good. But I'm just saying, it's the group of bands that you put together that makes a show successful. So like when there's so many of these, you know, there's shows like Lollapalooza like that, or like Woodstock, you know, the second generation or whatever. I mean, those shows are no-brainers because those bands are already so promoted through the media that that kind of an event is going to draw thousands and thousands of people, man. But back in the day, when there wasn't the kind of promotion machine that there is now, there are a lot of these groups you never, because there was such a like a gate keeper effect where these smaller acts or acts you never heard of didn't get airplay. You know, and that's basically where they're, especially on AM radio, you know, and then there was the, you know, this was, you know, FM style cuts, longer, you know, not as much, not as poppy or not as much repetitive stuff. You know what I mean? So there was these different, you know, there was a whole genre, you know, starting to materialize, but still lots of people hadn't heard of any of these bands. You know, no one heard about it until you put him with these other guys. Then all of a sudden, and he's creating this thing too at the same time because he's building relationships with people out on their way up. And he takes that talent and turns around and makes them giants. And then he's been there the whole time, and they're just like this. He makes a phone call, you know, and says, "Hey, Metallica, man, da 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 da." You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, guy had a lot of power, man.
Yeah, the thing is he created a stable of artists that he would draw from, and he you know, you can repeat. Once you see, you know, McDonald's, they do one thing, man. They make a hamburger. You know what I mean? They do it over and over again. So, and they've done it billions of times. That's why they're so big. So the thing is he figured out how to make the hamburger. And so once he figured out how to make the hamburger, he had been in the business for so many years at that point, like 10, 15 years. He was already a master. He had built a stable of up-and-comers that were now stadium headliners. And at that point, he just created the burger. And at that point, he had everybody in place, already taking care of all the stuff. You know what I mean? They hired the security guys. They called the lighting people. You know what I mean? So he wasn't doing it all by himself anymore. And once it turned into that, it was a giant money-making machine, man. Can you imagine? This is back in the day, too, when there was no credit cards, ladies and gentlemen, for the most part. People would show up with cash, these shows, and literally, and I'm speaking from experience, so I can only imagine the kind of cash he would see. Because where I worked at the 1,500 seater, where we'd sell out 2 shows early and late in a night, clear them out and bring them back. Imagine a bar with 1,500 people in it and George Thorogood's playing that night. Imagine how much money, I mean cash money, would be. I am not exaggerating when I say it. When I'd go in the office of the club after one of those nights, they'd all be sitting there with giant cigars, man, and the money would be piled up 3 feet high on that desk, man. And I am not exaggerating. Matter of fact, I'm being
probably $100,000 easy, right? On a big night. I mean, just think about it. If you have 1,500 people and everybody spent $10, right? That's 15 grand right there.
Yeah.
So now you got to add some drinks onto that, and the door fee and whatever else.
Yeah, Pacific Stereo. Carrie McCann said she bought her tickets at Pacific Stereo. Yeah. some of those some of those early Day on the Greens here in the Bay Area he did at Candlestick Park were really those were like that was really the model for whatever happened after that. You know what I mean? That baseball park, Candlestick Park, the Day on the Greens, Monsters of Rock show. I mean, it was 1350 for it was Mahogany Rush, Van Halen, AC/DC, Foreigner, and no, I want to say Aerosmith, but it was either Aerosmith or Ted Nugent. I can't remember who the headliner was on that one, but you know, I'm just saying, you know, that was the beginning of these just shows where these stadium type events were, you know, beyond like the Grateful Dead or these Led Zeppelin or whatever. This was like a whole new thing that was happening.
Well,
You know?
I mean, don't forget too, even the US Festival, right, in '83.
Yeah.
I mean, that was Bill Graham and Steve Wozniak had the biggest parts in that. Anyway, there's a combination, right? Rock and roll and computer tech.
There you go. You know, there's a lot more to Bill Graham that we're going to be getting into today, but we're probably going to get into him on the main show. But the thing is, you know, from a musical perspective, the Bay Area is just unprecedented in my opinion. So what would be your, I mean, you have something you want to get into, because I want to get into the tubes a little bit, and we got about 20 minutes left. So if you had something that you wanted to get into, would be the good time to do it. And while you're doing that, I'll get the tubes together over here.
Well, I had a few live clips from the Fillmore East. You know, it's not even stuff that we've talked about already, like the Dead and whatever. But
Nice. Well, go
you
ahead.
know, I like to throw the blues in the mix. So I have a little Albert King and a little Johnny Winter.
Badass. All
and,
right.
A little bit from Leslie West and Mountain, which is, believe it or not, actually always been one of my favorite guitar players. I love Leslie West.
Badass. Well, listen. How about this? Let's get into it, and then don't stay for the full song. You know what I mean? Cut into the next song and the next song, so we can get through a little bit of it, so we can get into the tubes a little bit. So I do want to talk about them. I want to talk about what they were doing on stage, and I want to talk about it. So let it rip, bro.
Yeah,
Ready to
just
go.
you know, this is the kind of jam. I'll start off with the Byrds, because this is the kind of jam you would hear when you went to the Fillmore. The one night only, it never happened again kind of thing. So,
Badass. It's Aftermath FM. That's Rock and Rio.
blues, you got a hole in your soul. I ain't jiving. See, you don't have to be 50 years old to have the blues. The blues is a thing that happens every day to young and old. You know, like you can work hard to save up $1,500 or $2,000 to pay down on a brand new motorbike or a new Grand Prix, and they'll strike on the job. Yeah. You say, well, they'll go back to work in the next couple of months. You riding around in this Grand Prix and your main squeeze sitting up there beside you, you know, and you're looking good. Are you listening? And then after the second month, you talk to your union man, he said, well, I think we're going to be out for another 2 months. Well, by this time, the finance man is looking for you. Are you with me? You'll hide the car for 2 weeks, and the third week he'll catch up with you, and he'll pull an old heap on in, you know. Some people call it my ride, you know. So you'll go home, you say, well, I'll borrow some money from my friend, and I'll catch up these back notes, and I'll ride again. You go to your friend, and they ain't got no money. Then you go home, and you don't want to talk to nobody. Maybe your mother, your dad, or your friend will come over and say, hey, look at this.
It's Aftermath FM. Rock and Rio. Are you there?
I am here.
Excellent. Yeah, apparently something about that Fillmore East material.
Little Johnny Winter didn't fly so well, huh?
Yeah, some for some reason they key in on the on certain things. I don't know what it is. It's like I was playing I Will Find You from Journey earlier, and I was getting hassled, and then I played another cut from the same album, and nothing happened. So it's crazy, man. You know.
I guess it's it depends on who the publisher is, probably.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. It's a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way, and that's why I love being on Aftermath FM, because we're going out live over the air. So if you're hearing this and you're hearing it live, it's like one of those moments because it goes out, but there is no archive of this. So I hope you're enjoying it. That's Rock and Rio over there. Pedro just joined us over in the chat room into the microcosm. Jimmy G and Strike Zone. So one of the bands that was real active in the Bay Area was the Tubes. And they did a whole thing, man. It's like they had and Bill Graham was like instrumental in a lot of the Tubes shows, and excuse me, the Tubes would put on a whole show. They had costumes. They do costume changes. They had a whole thing going on, and Fee Wave. They had a song called "White Punks on Dope," and Fee Waybill would come out dressed like a heavy metal dude, wearing these giant platform shoes, and they were like a I mean, they had a song called Mondo Bondage, where Fee Waybill, and there was you came down sliding down a pole, like like Batman or whatever, and he came down on stage, and then he had a couple of girls dancing, and one of the girls was Jenny, actually, the song 8675309. One of the dancers of the Tubes, her name was Jenny, and she was a dancer for the Tubes, but she was also a sound engineer. Later on, she became just a sound engineer when the Tubes weren't doing shows. But we'll do this song right here because this is one of their biggest songs. This is where pretty much Fee is Fee is pretty much dressed in these giant wig, and he's got giant platform shoes on, and this is one of the songs that if I was doing a show about Laurel Canyon or Hollywood, this is a show this is a song I would definitely play. And plus, this was like when we were teenagers. It's kind of like one of our anthems.
Teenage had a race for the nighttime. night. How can you tell when you're doing alright? Does your bank account swell while you're dreaming at night?
How do you tell when you're doing all right? Does your bank account swell when you're sleeping at night? Rock and Rio. The Tubes, man. The Tubes. You
Yeah.
know.
I mean, you could almost do a whole show on them.
You could, man. Like I was saying, when he comes down off that pole, he's got the two dancers. He got the two girls. They're dancing. You know, they're wearing. You know, they're in lingerie or whatever. And there's an alien on stage. Okay, he's an alien head. You know, like a gray. He's on stage and he's wearing this black cloak. And Fee Waybill like tackles him. And then literally bended him over and sodomized him on stage. The alien sodomized the alien while the two girls dressed in lingerie were whipping him with a cat of nine tails. And he had one of those black latex masks on. Literally, I mean, this was like a nightly part of one of the Tube shows every night when they would do this particular song called Mondo Bondage. So I mean, if you're into checking that out, you can find that video. I'll just go Tubes Mondo Bondage live or whatever.
They had a lot of, I guess you would say, highly sexual references, right? They had the song about the pimp, and what was the other one? Oh, Don't Touch Me There.
Yeah. Well, you know, Fee Waybill right now, he got like it's funny because like some of these political dudes, these guys are like real political back in the day. They've all turned like ultra conservative. Like Fee Waybill is super conservative, man. You can find him. He used to do a whole Reagan thing when Reagan was president, and he'd come out with this mask. Hey, we are running out of time. It's Wake and Bake with Rock and Rio, and my name's Jimmy, and we're here every Sunday doing shows about music and with music. And we're so happy you joined us. Stay tuned for Slow News Day with Steve Poikinen. That's coming up next. But in the meantime, don't forget, you're not alone. Don't give up. And what do you want from life?
Have that, but if you're an American citizen, you are entitled to a heated, kidney-shaped pool, a microwave oven. Don't watch the food cook. A Dynagym. I'll personally demonstrate it in the privacy of your own home. A king-size, Titanic, unsinkable Molly Brown waterbed with polybendum, a foolproof plan, and an airtight alibi. Real simulated Indian jewelry. A Gucci shoe tree. A year's supply of antibiotics. A personally autographed picture of Randy Mantooth and Bob Dylan's new unlisted phone number. A beautifully restored Third Reich swizzle stick. Rosemary's Baby. A dream date in knee pads with Paul Williams. A new Matador. A new Mastodon. A Maverick. A Mustang. A Montego. A Merc Montclair. A Mark IV. A Meteor. A Mercedes. An MG. Or a Malibu. A Mort Moriarty. A Maserati. A Mack truck. A Mazda. A new Monza. Or a moped. A Winnebago. Hell, I've heard of Winnebagos. We're giving them away. Or how about a McCullough chainsaw? A Las Vegas wedding. A Mexican divorce. A solid gold Kama Sutra coffee pot. Or a baby's arm holding an apple.
I do.
See
Is
you
a promise
next
you make
week.
to the ones you love.
Stay tuned for Steve Poikinen. Don't forget, $79 a year before it ends. $10 a month, $79 a year.
Have a great day, everybody.
See
Catch
ya.
you on Thursday.
Number 6, boy.
All right.
We were number 7 in that last minute, man. We made it into number 6 zone. Here, let me get a picture of that bitch. Hold on. Man, we were up there the whole... Oh, fuck, number 5. Shit. I got it. All right, here you go. We made it to number 5, dog.
Nice.
All right, man. Hey, thanks for everybody for chilling with us. We really appreciate you for being here. So glad you were here. I know. It's fucking ads. I thought it was good, man. It's good.
Oh yeah, you know, it's the one thing that would have been nice though is if we, you know, didn't have those warning issues coming up, because definitely, you know, that Johnny Winter track was gonna just about ready to start screaming.
I know, man.
You know,
we should have started. I mean, you know, it wouldn't. I guess it wouldn't have mattered if we would have started earlier because it would have happened anyway.
Yeah.
So there.
Well,
So
with that one, yeah.
when I used to just use the YouTube thing, because for a while I was just using YouTube Studio to do the shows, and there's a way when you're doing it that way that there's something I can see where I can turn off what YouTube hears.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I can't do it in this OBS thing. In this OBS software, there's no way to turn off YouTube. I can't mute it to YouTube without muting it to the radio. All right, listen, I gotta go, man. I need to eat. Thanks, it was great. I had a good time. It was fun, and we did some good fun. You know, it was good.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, you know, and one thing we didn't bring up is about Bill Graham. You know, the end of his life.
I know that he died in a helicopter crash.
He died in a helicopter crash, man. It was.
I know. Well, maybe let's just do it. Let's do a show because I really want to do a show about Bill Graham on the main show. For like two.
And all the weirdness surrounding it.
Exactly.
So maybe we'll do that for Thursday night then.
Yeah, let's do that for sure. Let's plan on it. So if you're
Bill Graham Part 2 on Thursday night.
So if you're dicking around during the week, Rio, up until the Thursday shows up, you know, see what you find on it. Like, you know, get into it. You know.
The dark side.
Scroll around, see what you can find. All right, you guys, we got to get the fuck out. I got to eat, man. I've been here since yesterday.
Oh.
So let's get out.
All right. See everybody later.
See ya.
Yes, the promised land. Oh gosh, now to the promised land. Yeah. Make a step down to Asmara. Then we stopped in Addis Ababa. Made our way to Shashamani land. Riding on the kids highway to the promised land. Going to the promised land. Oh gosh. To the promised land, oh, to the promised land. Well, there's plenty of land for you and I, by and by. Lots of food to share for everyone. No time for segregation in the promised land. Oh gosh, take me to the promised land.